You'll remember from our in-person Day 2, we introduced the ziggurat model. This model serves as a framework or template for your individualized implementation strategies. The 5 steps to the ziggurat include sensory and biological supports, Step 2, reinforcement, Step 3, structure and visual tactile supports, Step 4, task demands, and finally, skills to teach. We looked at the first 3 on Day 2. Remember, each level builds on the next, and addressing each level is essential for successful programming. The current section of the EIYCA focuses on behavioral support. We'll look at functional behavior assessments and developing behavior support plans based on the FBA or the functional behavior assessment. You'll learn about functional equivalence, competing statements, antecedent and consequent supports, and use of augmentative and alternative communication as replacement behaviors. The following scenario has been used over the years to demonstrate what happens when the function or reason for a behavior is not considered. Unfortunately, we develop intervention plans just as silly when we do not consider the function of our kids' challenging behavior. Scene 1. Teacher goes into the administrator's office to report that she's discovered there's a hole in the roof over her classroom. She appears agitated and has trouble getting the message out. The administrator sees her distress and tries to calm her down, offers coffee and a short break, gets her calm, and does not give her a chance to really be heard, but sends her back to the class. The behavior plan here is to use calming strategies. Scene 2. Teacher goes back to class. The hole is still there. She returns to the administrator's office. She tries to appear calmer and states that she has the classroom calmed down and they are attempting to get some work done. The administrator responds that he is glad she is doing better now and can see she is coping well. He praises her for a job well done. The behavior support plan this time? Use reinforcement. Scene 3. The teacher returns with another attempt to get action on the hole in the ceiling. She states that it is really becoming a problem because she has a child with allergies who is having a hard time with all the plaster that falls and the pollen. The administrator responds that they can move that child to another room where he can get more direct instruction. The new behavior plan is to change placement. Scene 4. The teacher comes back to the administrator and tells him she's having trouble with a parent who is insisting on removing her child because of the unsafe conditions of the classroom now. The administrator says he has a workshop flyer on school safety and will gladly use professional development money to get her some more training in safety issues. Another try at the behavior plan includes teaching new skills. Scene 5. The teacher returns with the news that it's raining and everyone in her room is getting wet and the materials are being ruined. The administrator looks alarmed. Materials cost money. He threatens to withhold the costs from her pay. Now the behavior plan resorts to punishing the bad behavior. Sounds ludicrous, but unfortunately, this demonstrates the futility of creating a well-intentioned behavior plan that does not consider the function or reason for the behavior. When children exhibit problem behavior, it is important to determine the reason or function of the behavior. Behavior support plans developed without attention to the function or functions of the behavior are destined to fail. This process is absolutely essential to the effective support of challenging behaviors. When a thorough, formal functional behavior assessment is not practical, staff can take an hour and develop a hypothesis on which to base a behavior intervention plan. This process is proactive. It decreases our having to react to a crisis. It is an evidence-based practice with significant research supporting its use. Consideration of the information provided by completion of an FBA or functional behavior assessment leads to positive supports, and its use is simply best practice. When standard procedures do not work adequately, the reason is frequently the procedures do not address the function of the problem behavior or the particular way in which the behavior is associated with the student's environment. In other words, we look at what happens before the behavior, what happens after, what the environment or setting offers, the student's skills or lack thereof, and so on. It is so easy to just look at the surface. In order to develop a really workable behavior plan, we need much more information than just what the behavior looks like. The impact of problem behavior goes far beyond just the moment it happens in the classroom. Students lose valuable instructional time. This is true for the acting out student as well as the other students in the class. Peers may reject and avoid students who present challenging behaviors. Opportunities for inclusion in more normalized settings are minimized. Things may get broken or damaged. Families suffer enormous stress. No one wants to get calls from school personnel telling them their child is causing problems. The normal disciplinary techniques that work for most families may not work for our students. This leaves parents frustrated and discouraged.
A school-friendly resource that we like is How to Reach and Teach Children with Challenging Behavior, Practical, Ready-to-Use Interventions That Work, by Kay Otten and Jody Tuttle. Dr. Otten is a practicing Missouri educator who looks at behavior assessment and positive behavior supports in a very practical manner, through the eyes of those in the trenches doing the work every day. Project Access is sponsoring a workshop on functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plans with Dr. Otten on April 11th in Lee's Summit, Missouri. Watch our website for information.
Another resource that we at Project Access often use is the book entitled Functional Assessment and Program Development for Problem Behavior, a Practical Handbook. You may want to consider one or both of these titles for your school or personal library.
You may also find the information at the link on this slide useful. It is the website for the Missouri Department of Education's Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports Project. Practical Functional Behavioral Assessment Training Manual for School-Based Personnel is downloadable from the Positive Behavior Support website. We're not requiring you to download this resource for this workshop, but we do encourage you to review it to determine its usefulness for you. School teams are also encouraged to participate in school-wide behavior supports. Check with your administration or the Regional Professional Development Center in your area of Missouri for additional information.